Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher and welcome to my world. Now I don't know about you, but I am ready for some football. I don't need Hank Williams Jr. songs to ask. I have been a football fan all my life. Come September, I'm more than ready. I organize my entire Sundays around watching NFL football and I enjoy every glorious minute of it. While I hope to do the same this year, I'm also very aware that this year is going to be different. Very different, in fact. We all know why, the disease of which I dare not speak has made certain of that. But, as of this recording, the NFL is trying to move forward with the regular season. Regular relative to 2020, that is. Now, I have major doubts as to whether that's possible. From what I've seen with basketball, baseball, and hockey, I can see that it can be done in certain circumstances. I'm just not sure those circumstances will work for a contact sport like American football. And the numerous cancellation of college football programs does not bode well. I'm already bracing for significant disruptions, from canceled games to canceled weeks even. That's just the kind of year we've had. But, knowing the NFL's dogmatic drive to attract eyeballs and make money, I suspect they'll make the effort. They're going to do everything they can to complete a full season, Super Bowl and all. However effective or ineffective they might be, I'm still excited, and I want to share that excitement by offering my outlook of the 2020 season, whatever form it might take. I'll go division by division, offering predictions and picks along the way, but please note I'm no expert or pundit. In fact, I've been so wrong in the past that I'm banned from some fantasy football leagues. I'll try to improve this year, just be warned that my prediction prowess is poor at best. For over a decade, the AFC East has been the easiest division to pick in football. It was the New England Patriots and everyone else. It was never a matter of whether they'd win, it was just a matter of by how much and whether they'd get home field advantage in the playoffs. That's what you get when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady under center for 2 decades. But now, Tom Brady is gone. He left for Tampa Bay. On top of that, some of New England's top defensive players are opting out of the season. And let's not forget that Buffalo was a playoff team last year, and their defense only got better in the offseason. This is the first year in which we can safely say that the AFC East is up for grabs with a straight face. That said, I'm not counting the Patriots out just yet. They still have Bill Belichick. They also have Cam Newton, who's finally back from a long string of injuries during his time in Carolina. Is that enough to dominate like they have for years? That's not clear, but the odds aren't in their favor. The Miami Dolphins are improving, although that's not saying much, and the Jets, well, they're the Jets. There's a reason they've struggled since Joe Namath retired. I still think the Buffalo Bills are a playoff caliber team, but until they show they can beat the Pats consistently, I can't pick them. So this year, I'll pick the Patriots, again, to win the division. But unlike years past, it's not nearly as certain. The AFC North is another division that used to be easy to predict. You only really had to pick between the Ravens and the Steelers. Hell, you could flip a coin and that would be as good as any prediction. But last year totally threw that off. The sheer dominance that Lamar Jackson showed throughout the season made the Ravens one of the best teams in football. Everyone else in the division, including the league-worst Cincinnati Bengals, could only look up in awe. But as impressive as Lamar Jackson was, I'm still not convinced. I've been watching football long enough to see plenty of one-year wonders. Not long ago, people were talking about Robert Griffin III the same way they were talking about Lamar Jackson. Both were talented, capable quarterbacks that took the NFL by storm, but both injuries and opposing defenses caught up with them. That's just how football works, and this year, I don't see Jackson dominating like he once did. That said, the Ravens are still the team to beat. The Browns have a lot of talent, but they've yet to show they can put it together. And the Bengals have a long way to go, even with Joe Burrow as their new quarterback. And the Steelers, despite quality coaching and a great deal of depth, lack the weapons they used to have to keep up. Then there's Ben Roethlisberger's health. At his age and given his injury history, it's doubtful whether he can ever play a full season again. He's still talented, but against a younger, hungrier Ravens team, I just don't think that's enough. That's why I'm picking the Ravens this year. It won't be as dominant, but it will be enough to win the division. Every year, I think I figured out the AFC South. And every year, it proves me wrong and I'm all the way back at square one. This division is frustratingly hard to pick. I honestly can't remember the last time I picked it right. Hell, I had the Colts going to the Super Bowl last year. Then Andrew Luck retired and that threw everything off. This year, I want to say the Texans are ready to take that next step, but their offseason this year has me worried. Time and again, they keep trading away critical pieces. And on top of that, J.J. Watt just can't stay healthy anymore. And while I'm a big fan of Deshaun Watson, he just doesn't have enough offensive weapons around him anymore. Like Lamar Jackson, he relies heavily on his legs, and that'll only take him so far. I was also genuinely impressed by what the Titans did last year. They proved there's still a place for a tough running game in today's NFL, but Derrick Henry alone cannot carry this team. And the Colts, while they probably miss Andrew Luck, will definitely get a boost with Phillip Rivers. The Jaguars just need to keep developing Gardner Minshew and hope the rest of their team gels for future seasons. So, while the Texans feel like the most obvious pick, my gut tells me the Colts will surprise everyone this year and win the division. My gut may not be reliable, but that's what it's telling me, among other things. Let me start by saying that Patrick Mahomes is an absolute beast. What he accomplished last year with the Chiefs is insane. Winning the Super Bowl, finally getting Andy Reid the championship he never got in Philly, it was amazing. He is rapidly becoming the new face of the NFL, and for all the right reasons. There are no caveats or buts this time. As long as Pat Mahomes is healthy and Andy Reid is coaching, the Chiefs are the team to beat. No other team in the AFC West improved enough to change that. The Raiders have been unstable ever since John Gruden took over, and their ill-timed move to Las Vegas certainly isn't helping. I also suspect the Chargers will really miss Phillip Rivers after the first few weeks of the season. And while I do think Justin Herbert will eventually become a quality quarterback, I don't think it's going to happen this year. The only team that's even close to challenging the Chiefs is the Broncos, and that's not saying much. The Broncos still have a great defense and some emerging talent on offense, but they lack the talent and firepower to keep up. I suspect they'll put up more of a fight this year, but it still won't be enough against someone like Patrick Mahomes, given all the weapons he has and the coaching prowess of Andy Reid. That's why I'm picking the Chiefs. Barring a serious injury to Mahomes, they've got the inside track on another division title. Now, the NFC East is one of those divisions that has seen better days. Not long ago, this was one of the most heated divisions in the league. But in recent years, it has become both lopsided and bereft of talent. And I don't think that's going to change much this year, but I do think we'll see an uptick. The Cowboys and Eagles are still the teams to beat. Both have the talent necessary to make a deep playoff run, and the Eagles were Super Bowl champions just a few years ago. Their main weakness was injuries, whereas the Cowboys just underachieved at the worst possible time. That might change with a new coach in Mike McCarthy, but I still remain unconvinced. Both the Giants and the Washington football team, formerly the Redskins, are on the right track. I don't think it's impossible for one of them to get hot, go on a run, and steal a division in the final week. That has happened before. In fact, it seems to happen in the NFC East more than any other division, but I just don't see it happening this year. For now, I'm going with the Eagles. They've got the best track record of any team thus far, and if Carson Wentz can stay healthy for once, they might just make some noise in the playoffs. The NFC North is one of those divisions defined by both overachievers and underachievers. Every year, at least one team finds a way to surprise the league in the best or worst possible way. One year it was the Bears, another it was the Vikings, and then just when you think Aaron Rodgers is back to his MVP form with the Packers, something goes horribly wrong and the team falls apart. You never really know until the final week of the season. That said, last year the Vikings really impressed me. They finished strong and Kirk Cousins finally started clicking with his team. I also think they did well enough in the offseason to build on that. But again, this is an inconsistent division. I can just as easily see the Vikings underachieving again. I can even see a team like the Lions overachieving. I'm honestly not sure which team will get the momentum at just the right time. I can see all four teams getting hot towards the end of the season. But for now, if I had to pick the most complete team, I'd pick the Vikings. The Packers and the Lions are not far behind. Whoever wins will really have to fight for it, but that's going to keep this division interesting all season. Let's face it, this promises to be the most interesting division in all of football. The NFC South is more stacked than it's ever been in terms of both talent and intrigue. That's the kind of impact that someone like Tom Brady has. They call him the GOAT for a reason. But unlike previous years, you can't just pencil Brady in for the Super Bowl. He's never known any other team outside of New England. He's also never known another coach outside Bill Belichick. He's also never had to learn a new offense this quickly and during a pandemic-plagued offseason, no less. Brady is great, there is no doubt about that. But even the GOAT will have some obstacles this time around, most notably in both New Orleans and Atlanta. Because this isn't the AFC East. Brady can't feast on the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins twice a year anymore. He has to go up against the likes of Drew Brees and Matt Ryan. Both teams are good, playoff caliber teams. New Orleans came very close to playing in a Super Bowl last year. And Atlanta still has a former MVP quarterback and Pro Bowl talent on offense. Going through them will not be easy. And even if you write off the Panthers as a team in full rebuild, this will be one of Brady's biggest tests of his career. But if he can put it together in Tampa, he will have erased any lingering doubts about the scale of his greatness. Will that happen this year? I honestly don't know. But, time and again, I've learned to never pick against Tom Brady. While New Orleans may be a more complete team on paper, their propensity to choke in recent years has me worried. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the division this year. It just won't be as effortless as usual for Tom Brady. This is another division I have a hard time figuring out. In some years, it's one of the weakest divisions in the NFL. In others, it produces legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The past few years have made the NFC West one of the most talented divisions in football, but I think this year will be a turning point for many teams. The 49ers may have made it to the Super Bowl last year, but I feel like they just got hot at the right time and played a lot of weak opponents before getting run over by the Chiefs. They're still a good team, but I doubt they'll have that kind of luck this year. I like the LA Rams. They probably have the best depth of the entire division. But last year exposed the deficiencies of Jared Goff. He really took a step back and did not show that he could measure up against other top-level quarterbacks in the league. The most accomplished quarterback in the NFC West is still Russell Wilson in Seattle. And while you can usually pencil him in for the Pro Bowl every year, I don't think he's got a strong enough team around him to make a deep playoff run. Then there are the Cardinals, a team that always seems to be rebuilding. Now I like what they've done in the offseason. I also like how Kyler Murray has developed so far. But I still don't think they have enough to compete this year. They're close, but they need a few more pieces to catch up. That's why this year, I'm picking the Rams. They've got the depth and the coaching to get it done, and if Jared Goff can just be more consistent, they could be serious contenders. Now, assuming the season plays out normally, and that's a big assumption at this point, the playoffs are going to be unusual this year. I don't expect full stadiums to be allowed at any point in the season or in the playoffs, even if the current situation with the pandemic improves. That means home field advantage will mean very little to any team that gets it this year. Teams that usually feed off the noise of their home crowd won't have that luxury, and that will be a factor. But in football, it's the players who win the games, not the noise. And this year, I think the playoffs will be uniquely chaotic. Barring injury, I expect the Ravens and the Chiefs to be there. I also suspect that one team that nobody thought could make the playoffs will get in. I also think Tom Brady will get Tampa Bay into the playoffs, but they won't be the favorite. At least one team will overachieve like the Titans and 49ers did last year. I also think if a team like the Packers or the Eagles gets in, they could get hot as they've done so in the past. I believe at least one division winner is going to get bumped early. I also think one heavily favored team will be upset in a big way. I'm not going to predict which, but I think this is one of those years where something like that is bound to happen. I also have a feeling that at least one team will get very unlucky with positive tests, and that will throw everything off. But in the end, however the playoffs play out, talent will still win the day. After all is said and done, Super Bowl 55 will be a unique matchup, and this year, I pick the Kansas City Chiefs and the New Orleans Saints to make it. Yes, I know I didn't pick the Saints to win the division, but I think that if they get in as a wildcard team, they will be dangerous. They will be underdogs. And given Tom Brady's presence in their division, they will be hardened and determined. And they will carry that into the playoffs and to the Super Bowl. I suspect they'll embrace their role as underdogs and get hot at just the right time, and maybe even squeezing out a few playoff wins, possibly against Brady himself. But will that be enough to beat the Chiefs? That is the big question. And I say that mainly because the AFC just doesn't have a team that's up at their level right now. The Ravens are close, but the Chiefs just have too much firepower. And even though the Saints don't have a top-tier defense, I think if they make it to the Super Bowl, they can get into a shootout with Pat Mahomes. And it'll be a shootout for the ages. It'll come down to 1 or 2 drives in the fourth quarter. Both teams will fight hard to win. And in the end, I predict that Drew Brees will come out on top. I think he will lead the Saints to a 38-35 upset in Super Bowl 55. Giving New Orleans its second title and Drew Brees the perfect swan song for his Hall of Fame career. Now again, and this is worth belaboring, this is just my prediction. I'm often wrong when it comes to predicting sports, but however wrong I am, I'm so excited for the upcoming 2020 football season. My love of football is greater than the despair that this past 6 months have wrought. I'm ready, I'm hopeful, I'm eager. So here's hoping that the NFL season can make 2020 feel slightly less awful this fall. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you for joining me in my world. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Take care and stay safe.